What's going on, guys? Back again with another good word for you on this beautiful but stormy Wednesday. Hope you guys are all beating the heat. Back again, though, for another Wisdom Wednesday where I'm excited to share this with you guys. So today's topic is going to be on our heart posture and God's involvement in our lives. That is a very, very big and heavy subject. Today's video is not necessarily just going to be a feel-good video about wisdom, but we're going to talk about some real stuff and the truth. This came to me through my pastor, of all people, actually. I go to Edgemere Church, and I will tell you, my pastor, I love him. He does an excellent job of speaking the truth, conveying the necessary points that are important for salvation. And I just want to be an extension of that and give you guys this good word today. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into it. We're going to go in one of my other Bibles, and this was given to me by one of my best friends, Samuel, from college. This was very meaningful. He gave this to me a while ago, and I actually leave this in my car. It's my car Bible, so that way I got my main one at home and then my travel one with me. So let's get right into it, though. I'm going to open us up to Corinthians. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. And we're going to go to 1 Corinthians, and we're going to start off with chapter 13, verse 5, okay? And it says, well, we'll start actually a little earlier. So we're going to start at verse 3. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. The authorities are God's servants sent for your good. But if you are doing wrong, of course you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. They are God's servants sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. So you must submit to them, not only to avoid punishment, but also to keep a clear conscience. So let's talk about that, right? We're going to break it down. So I took a couple notes on this because I was going to read 13.2 and 13.5, but I was convicted to share all of it. So what that basically means, right, is that acts means nothing without giving love. When you do things, they need to come from a pure place, a godly place, right? Because if we are doing it for our own self-interest, are we really serving God? Here's a good example. Me as a coach, am I picking up a bunch of clients to actually help them out, or am I picking them up to pad my bank account? So we're talking about our intentions and our heart posture when doing things. So essentially, when you're acting out of a place that does not bear fruit, right? And we've discussed the fruits of the Spirit, so now we know that those thistles, those branches, that includes fear, hate, anxiety, doubt, disappointment, depression, all of those very low vibrational feelings. If we are operating out of that place, we are not operating out of a place of love and light. And that means that that's where that fear should be struck in. So when we call out to God to operate in areas of our life, maybe that's why we don't feel Him or hear His presence. A lot of us love to go by the label Christian and wear a cross necklace and chain. Now I'm going to give you guys a reference from a really good song, Put On For My City. Kanye made a point in the song, and at first I was like against it. But then I realized what it meant, and I looked deeper into it, and that's why the song is actually still on my playlist. He says, I got the Jesus on my chain, man, that don't mean S, and I'm not going to cuss because this is a video that's holy. But what that means, just because you're wearing God, just because you act like you represent God, that doesn't mean that you actually are. There are a lot of people who might have a cross necklace on that are hateful, that are evil, that are doing things not out of the goodness of their heart or God, and their heart posture is not aligned with God. Then we pray, we call out to God, but we wonder why we don't hear Him. We wonder why there's no movement in our lives. We wonder why there's no salvation. We wonder why we still face the temptations and the struggles that we face. That is all because our heart is not genuinely opened and aligned to God, and He wants us to come to Him. I'm telling you guys, He really does, especially when we sin. If you guys haven't seen the show called The Chosen, it's on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend it. The show, I will tell you, as a grown man, and I'll publicly say this, it has brought me to tears more times than I've cried probably in the past 2 years combined because of how deep it is and because I've opened my heart and I feel it and I feel the meaning and I see the meaning of that show operating and acting in my own life, because it's essentially taking the accounts of the New Testament and putting it into play. When you really feel that sacrifice, when you feel that presence of God, you'll know you're operating out of good. You'll feel like you're on such a high wavelength that it's like nobody can shake that peace around you. And I've experienced this at work during multiple times where there's been huge rushes or I've been slammed. Or even with clients. I've had some clients recently that have been dealing with injuries as we get closer to their meets. And the one thing I haven't lost is faith and grace with them. And now they're getting healed because I didn't lose that faith and I seek God for healing for them. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden they're fine, but they were able to get the right rehab drills. They were able to get the right treatment. It's things like that, right? That, again, how our prayers answered. And because I've opened those areas up in my life to God and submitted to him and given him that control, just as it says again, right here, anyone who rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. That's a bad thing if you're rebelling against God, if you're not living out his word. If you hear him calling to you and you are actively denying what he wants for you, then you're seeking pain, you're seeking punishment, you are seeking hurt and harm. When you come to God, God is not a genie. God is not a God that's just, you talk to him and that's it. We don't talk at him. A lot of times people love to speak to him, but don't like it when he talks back, because there's a lot of things that we might not like about ourselves that he'll use either other people or certain things to call us out on. And this has even happened to me recently, and I'm thankful that I have those people in my life to check my heart posture in certain areas, because I am flesh. I am not perfect. The Spirit lives within me, walks with me, and guides me. But that doesn't mean I'm not perfect. That doesn't mean I don't face temptation. I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. I'm just a man trying to spread the word and do the works that God wants me to do. And my representation of my works and my fruit, meaning how I go out and treat people with my character, as we discussed in a recent video, that is my faith being displayed. Because a lot of people get caught up and they're like, well, I was a good person and I believed in God and I did my works. Works alone doesn't save you. The reason why faith without works is death, though, right, is because your works are a declaration of your faith. Your works show your belief. How you act shows what you stand for. And that kind of goes back to the spiritual warfare discussion we had, where it's like, okay, up in here, right, you got those good thoughts and those bad thoughts, but what are you putting out into the world? Those works display your faith, which is why a lot of people are going to get told, turn away from me. I never knew you. And that's what should scare us the most, because there are a lot of Christians that will be turned away from. And he will look at you and say, I didn't know you. But what about your works? But did your works display your faith? The deeper I get into my journey, the more I get called weird, crazy, like a zealot. And I embrace that. You know why? Because you want to be weird to the world. You're turning away from the world. If the world's going this way, you're going this way. And that's because your heart goes from the world to God, right? Because at the end of the day, he'll provide us everything we need. Peace, love, joy, harmony, happiness. He'll give us our wives. He'll give us your husbands, He will be there for us and take care of us if our heart is correct. And that's the thing. Again, it's all about our intentions. You know why? He created us and he knows us deep down to our core. From before we were even in the womb, he knew us. And that's from Jeremiah. So one way to let God into our hearts that I want to share with you, because this came straight from my church and my pastor. It was absolutely beautiful. I'm going to have to get to the book of Micah. Give me 1 second, guys. I got a lot of pages to flip through, and I thank you very much for your patience. But tell you guys, the book of Micah, ooh. All right. Honestly, this is going to be beautiful, and I can't wait to share this with you guys. So you know what Micah says? Micah 3:8 in this Bible. This is my daily mantra. I say this to myself when I'm at work, when I'm at the gym, before I train, before I go to bed, when I wake up, and especially when I'm faced with temptation. And that's helped me a lot to overcome temptation in certain areas of my life that I struggle with, right? But as for me, I am filled with power with the Spirit of the Lord. I'm going to say that again, okay? But as for me, I am filled with power with the Spirit of the Lord. And you will feel it. You will literally feel it wash over you. And you'll know your heart's right when you feel that peace. It's like a big warm blanket comes over you. And I feel it right now. You can't see it, but I feel it. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you. If there's one thing I can pass on to you guys, it's that. Repeat that. Make that your daily mantra, just like I did. Because as for me, I'm filled with power, with the Spirit of the Lord. And you can probably even hear the authority through me that comes through that, because I'm not necessarily on a solemn vibe today, but more of like, okay, this is going to be a serious conversation. And even then, I can feel that authority speaking through me. Why? Because I have that power in me and my heart posture's turned to Him. And don't look at me as the perfect example, because I'm not. Jesus was the perfect example. He's the only perfect person free of sin. I am a sinner, and I pray every day, forgive me, Father, have mercy on my soul, for I am a sinner. That's one of the best Jesus prayers I've used to help in seeking forgiveness and in seeking God when I sin or when I'm in temptation, because again, He wants us to come back to Him. He doesn't want us to stay away. He wants our hearts. Why is God a jealous God when envy is a sin, right? Because you walk a fine line, and He's our Father. Legitimately, He is our Father and our Creator, right? So a father's love is jealous, but in a protective way. Why would He want bad for us? Why would He want us to turn from Him and turn to evil? The same way a father might be like, hey, it's not a good idea to go out after midnight. You're 16. You could end up in a dangerous situation. Hey, this temptation is going to lead you to sin, and it's going to lead you to pain. It's going to lead you to drought. It's going to lead you to sorrow. And then we create the mess at our own hands and go up and look at, why, God, why would you do this to me? He didn't do it. He allowed it to happen with our free will. The same way that Eve bit that apple, and that was Adam's fault too. You know why? Because he knew better, and he should have led her better. And that's the truth. So that's why we have free will in that choice. Turn your heart to God. Watch how your life changes, how your mindset changes, how your thoughts change, how you treat people, how people treat you and perceive you change. I am not the same person I was even 6 months ago when I was competing at Walcott Wreckers. And I was filled with the Spirit of the Lord then. That meet was the best meet of my life, and I had no caffeine. I was off 5 hours of sleep, and the meet ran way over and was delayed. I had no reason to have a great meet, but I did because I was filled with the Spirit of the Lord. This, though, being called to share this, take notes on the Bible, start reading Scripture, it's changed me as a human because I've changed my heart. And I'm able to be a vessel of light to share this stuff. And I tell you guys, what I'm doing and what I have, it may seem special, like God picked me, but He wants all of us to be His. He wants any of you watching this to be His. I promise you that. He loves you. He loves you more than words can describe, but just like a fatherly love, with discipline, with reverence, you know? But just remember, He created all of us individually and beautifully in His design, and we are all a reflection of Him. So turn your heart to Him. Let your heart posture show with your fruits and how you treat people. And if you're going to spread the word like this, just as I am, and there will be a future video on this for Wisdom Wednesday, if you're going to do this, then you have to live by the word and by your faith, and you have to follow through with the word. Because if not, everything that I'm doing with this Wisdom Wednesday, everything I'm sharing, this is truly meaningless. And I say that because none of this is meaningless, what I'm doing, because I'm walking with Him, I'm bearing fruit, and I'm walking in my purpose with Him. And there's no reason all of us can't. So use me as a sign, use me as a story, my testimony, to get closer with God and just open up and let Him into your life. And I'll tell you, this seed for all of this was planted about a year ago. I've always been in faith, but I was lukewarm, guys. and now I'm on fire. Don't be lukewarm. Don't get spit out. I'm telling you. Your acts without love mean nothing. Come from a loving place and come from a godly place, and watch how your life changes and the people around you change with you for the better. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that this sermon touched a lot of you, and I'm just beyond blessed to be able to share this stuff with you guys, share this information and share this wisdom. And I thank you all. I can't wait for next Wednesday's video, and I love you all. God bless, and until next week, my friends.